Travis Reier, the BamaOnline.com staff, following the media viewing periods at Monday's football practice at the University of Alabama. The Crimson Tide back on the practice fields following a week off for spring break. Of course, you remember. Alabama went through the one workout a couple of Fridays ago and then off to spring break for Nick Saban's team. Back out there today once again in shorts and helmets. So a lot to get to as we go around the Crimson Tide for you on day 2 of spring practice 2019. Now, from an attendance standpoint, there had been a lot of talk about the potential of Ali Cahoe, the sophomore inside linebacker, returning to the practice field. That wasn't the case during the media viewing periods on Monday. We didn't see Ali Cahoe out there with Dylan Moses and Josh McMillan and Markel Benton and the rest of those inside linebackers. So that was obviously going to be a top storyline for Monday's practice. And based on what we saw, again, during the media viewing periods, no sign of Ali Cahoe. Also, Ben Davis not on the practice field once again today, the outside linebacker. Didn't see Kedrick James, the tight end. We did see Shyheim Carter on the practice field, albeit in a black non-contact jersey. So he was trying to go through his paces with the safeties and also mixing in at that star position, both roles that he handled a year ago. So that's kind of an attendance update. Again, no sign of Ali Cahoe, the sophomore inside linebacker out there. He had posted on social media in the last week or so that he expected, or at least hoped, to be back in the mix in the very near future. That wasn't the case during the early stages of Monday's practice. Now, we did get a closer look on Monday at that Alabama defensive line. We saw them okay a couple of Fridays ago in that first workout, but really with Brian Baker, the new defensive line coach, working with those guys today, got a really good look at the newcomers, Antonio Alfano, Justin Eboigbe. I got a lot of video, or a good bit of video, of that group, so you'll get a better sense of what we saw out there today coming up a little bit later on BamaOnline.com. But as I told you a week or so ago, following day 1, it is kind of amazing how these defensive linemen are showing up now as mid-year guys, physically looking close to ready to go. I wouldn't say they're all the way there. You look at a guy like Justin Eboigbe right now, and you think back to how Jonathan Allen showed up at UA 4 or 5 years ago, and while impressive, not to the extent that you look at a guy like Eboigbe or an Alfano or even a DJ Dale at the nose tackle position. So those 3 early enrollees fitting in quite well with the returnees and some guys that look like they've had some really good runs through the fourth quarter program. Phidarian Mathis continues to look like he's making real positive strides from that standpoint, which is a good thing, because as we look at the groupings out there today, you see Phidarian Mathis flanked by LaBryan Ray and Raekwon Davis up front. That second group, you see Vita Musika, the junior college transfer from a year ago, with guys like Stephon Wynn and Christian Barmore. Christian Barmore looks like he's continued to make some nice progress in the strength and conditioning program. So Eboigbe with that second group. Then you got Alfano. Then you look into the 3s, and then you have a guy like DJ Dale repping in there inside. So the numbers certainly look better than they would otherwise without the early enrollees, and you still got 3 guys coming in the summer, including a couple that, really all 3 coming in the summer, that will have a chance to impact that rotation very early on in their UA careers. Byron Young being at the top of that list. Ish Sofsher certainly in that mix as well. So a good look at the defensive line today. The offensive line, what we saw with Kyle Flood and those guys were more of duo pairings working in drills while we were out there anyway. So, you know, you saw the right side that we talked about a week or so ago with Matt Womack working inside at right guard, Jedrick Wills at right tackle, Chris Owens at center, Emil Ekiyor at left guard, Alex Leatherwood at left tackle. Your 2s, you know, are pretty much the same, or appear to be, but again, working more in pairs rather than full line groupings out there during the media viewing periods. We can report Charlie Potter was out there. We talked about it, had a laugh about it after the media viewing periods. We did see Will Reichard The early enrollee place kicker / punter looked like he was punting while we were out there. I can't tell you if it was a Ray Guy type of media viewing period award performance from Will Reichard, but we did visually ID Will Reichard on the practice field. I know for a lot of you, that's as important as anything else going on with Alabama football right now. Quarterbacks, saw a little bit of them. Interesting to note with the quarterbacks, we saw Brian Daboll, former Alabama offensive coordinator. You've got a pro day here tomorrow, so you've got a real influx of NFL people. Mike Mayock, formerly of the NFL Network, now the general manager of the Oakland Raiders, soon to be Las Vegas Raiders. We saw Mike Mayock out there surveying the talent. Brian Daboll was out there. The entire Oregon football staff was out there today, by the way. Mario Cristobal and that what appeared to be the entire Oregon staff was watching practice. And Bobby Williams, a part of that staff, the former Alabama assistant, working with tight ends and special teams, I believe now, for Cristobal out in Eugene. So a lot of Ducks out there when you look at the Oregon staff, but former Alabama head coach Ray Perkins was out there today. Former Alabama recruiting coordinator, assistant head coach Ronnie Cottrell was out there today. It was kind of like sensory overload. You know, it was kind of like walking into Times Square and all you can see is the lights. Well, that was kind of the attention grabber today at practice, was more so the people not on the practice field but around the practice field as much as anything else. Looking at the secondary today, rotating a lot of guys in and out at the different positions. When you talk about safety, we did see Shyheim Carter, again, in that black non-contact jersey, but out on the practice field trying to do some things. Obviously, Xavier McKinney, a big part of that coming back. Eddie Smith going into his second year in the program. We saw Daniel Wright mixing in there. Jared Maiden. And these guys were working both at safety, and then they were moving up to what would probably be money, even star in some situations. Same for the corners. Trayvon Diggs, coming off that foot injury, looked good out there today. Jalen Armour-Davis, coming off the knee injury, was repping in at right corner along with Nigel Knott and Scooby Carter, the early enrollee there as well. Patrick Surtain, obviously. So again, similar to the defensive line in that the numbers have definitely taken on a nice adjustment with some of the early enrollees, but a lot of rotation going on right now, a lot of teaching, a lot of learning, multiple roles for so many of these guys. When you go from base, nickel, and dime, very important time of year for retention and whether or not you find out guys can get it when it comes to multiple roles. And that's what we were seeing out there today with the secondary. We talked about the inside linebacker position. It looked like, once again, Josh McMillan, the fifth-year senior, working alongside Dylan Moses. Dylan Moses met with the media earlier today. You probably saw Charlie's update on BamaOnline.com. Pretty much confirmed what we expected all along. He's moving into that primary Mike role with Mack Wilson departing for the NFL. He's going to be your primary signal caller. He's going to be your Mike, I would think, on an every down basis. Although, again, with Dylan, there's some things you can do with him in pass rush situations where you can move him around a little bit as well. The big question continues to be, when will we see Ali Cahoe back out there? For the time being, again, it looks like the veteran Josh McMillan, Markel Benton still in that mix. Shane Lee, as an early enrollee, certainly has an opportunity as well. So that's kind of what you're looking at right now at those inside linebacker positions. Outside linebackers, we got an up-close look at Sal Sunseri doing his thing. That's always fairly entertaining with Sal. Your primary guys there with Cameron Latou still with the tight ends. You're looking at Anthony Jennings, Terrell Lewis, Ayabi Anoma, Christopher Allen, Jerez Park. So you've got some decent numbers right there. And keeping an eye on Lewis and Allen coming off those knee injuries, watching them do some ladder work with the feet out there today, look to be moving pretty well once again. So that's kind of going around the team for you, for the most part. So if you got any comments or questions, we'll try to get to them. By the way, we are in Coleman Coliseum, which, as I speak, is set up for more basketball. Wednesday night, Norfolk State coming to Coleman for first round NIT action here against the Crimson Tide. What do we got? Anything, gang? Got people checking in from Tallapoosa and Homewood and all over. Anything? Did I cover it all? Good. If I covered it all, we're out of here. West Virginia? Yeah. You guys ready for some more hoops here at Coleman? Let me show you. Let me show you. Yeah, there you go. Ready to rock. Ready for some more hoops. Brock's asking, most impressive freshman we've seen out there. You know, kind of hard to say in just 2 days. And I guess, Brock, you're referring to early enrollees. Gosh, you know, Evan Neal at 6'7"-ish, 350 pounds, and the guy looks like he can move. We've seen him working at left guard with the twos already. I go back to Boygby and Alfano on the defensive line. Very impressive. So for me, it always goes back to these big guys now that are showing up looking more and more ready to go, not only as freshmen, but as mid-year seniors in high school. That's what essentially these guys are. Yeah, no specifics on Ali Cahoe in terms of his situation. You know, again, I know that from a social media standpoint, he had the promising message here in the last week. But even with that, there wasn't a sense that he was indeed guaranteed back in the fold coming into today's practice. So there you go. Ben Davis, we talked about earlier, I didn't see him with the outside linebackers today. Yeah, Talia and Paul Tyson, only got a chance to see them a little bit today. We talked about this after the first practice. You know, they're working with the other two quarterbacks in Tua and Mac Jones. Talia and Paul Tyson right behind those two. So they're going to have a lot of opportunities coming up. Let's see. We got anything else? Or y'all gonna amongst yourselves, which is great. We're all for that too. All right, well, we'll wrap it up. We will be back on Wednesday. You're gonna have Alabama Pro Day tomorrow, so you're going to want to keep it tuned to BamaOnline.com for that. That starts at 11 a.m. Central, runs to approximately 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we'll have full coverage of Pro Day. We'll also be back with Alabama football practice on Wednesday, so we'll have coverage of that for you as well. Nick Saban will address the media following Wednesday's practice. He'll also address the media at Pro Day tomorrow, so you'll have coverage of that as well at BamaOnline.com. I've got some practice video coming up for you. Charlie's got his practice report, which I'm almost certain is already up at BamaOnline.com. Kirk McNair with coverage of the Crimson Tide as well. Denon McMillan always does a great job with the photos and video. So we've got you covered. Alabama football this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Alabama on the practice field. So we'll have you covered throughout the week. You've still got basketball going on. You still got recruiting year-round with Hank South. Tim Watts do a great job with that. So keep it locked to BamaOnline.com for more coverage of Crimson Tide sports.